Hey, welcome to Blogtv. I'm the Flying Dutchman, and he's Pin.
And you brought a date!
Yes, I did. You may remember Simba from last week, our rather disobedient dog. Wouldn't sit, wouldn't stand when I told her to. So we sort of forced her owner to send her off to obedience training for a week. And the question is, did it work? Well, let's do a quick recap so you guys know what happened. Here's a bit of what happened last week so that you know, okay? Simba was with me. Oh!
Behind.
Okay. Now Simba is a misbehaving dog. Now, for example, sit, Simba.
The dog's not listening to you at all.
Thank you. Simba, sit. Okay, this is not going to work.
That was not a fun
we're going to
time.
bring a star trainer on. Sunny, where are you? Okay, that's what happened last week. Then we sent Simba off for a week's training, okay? And let's see what happened on that very first day. There she is, first day of training with a lot of dogs. First thing she's going to learn. Sit down and stay. The question is, will it work? Sit down and stay? See, this is the Simba we do know.
Not very encouraging.
Not very encouraging. Not at all.
Not very encouraging.
So the question now is, will all of this actually work?
Now, you see, I think they should have just given them money because, you know, dogs take money, don't they?
No, money doesn't quite work.
Okay.
Let's get down to today's topic.
Dog attacks on people have more than doubled in the last 5 years, with an average of about an attack a week over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
65 attacks this year alone. That's an all-time high, most of them from small dogs as well.
Okay, who are our guests?
Let's meet our guests. Guest number one, this is Deirdre Moss, the Executive Officer of the SPCA. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for joining us.
We have Amy Tan, this is the Director of Obedience Training from the Singapore Kennel Club. I hear your rooms are gorgeous.
Lovely.
We also have Edmund Chu. He's a dog owner of 2, and he hasn't trained his 2 dogs. We shall find out why later in the show.
I've got a question for everybody, but before we do that, here's our poll. When a dog bites someone, what punishment should be meted out? You can get involved on the poll on the website as well. 4 options for you. Number 1, put the dog to sleep. Number 2, find the owner. Number 3, send the dog to obedience school. Number 4, nothing. It's not the dog's fault. Blogtv space 1, 2, 3 or 4, send it to 73388 or get involved on the website. We need your comments on Shoutbox as well. Let's start with you, Deirdre. When a dog is unruly, whose fault is it? I mean, is it the dog or the dog owner? When a dog bites, could it even be the victim's fault?
That's a hell of a big question.
It's a hell of a big question, but that's where we need to go.
Well, I mean, it depends on the circumstances. I mean, if a dog bites, then you have to look into, was it provoked? Was it off-leash, on-leash? Is it in the house? Maybe it was being protective. So you can't say it's the victim's fault necessarily,
Okay,
no.
but what about an unruly dog?
An unruly dog is probably an untrained dog. So therefore, you have to look to the owner. Is it trained? Under control?
Right.
Because if it's not under control, it probably hasn't been trained.
So owner's fault, right?
Owner for not training the dog.
Yeah, sometimes it's the owner's fault because he should have also sent him for training. But then again, it depends on the breed. Some dogs you don't really need to train. Some you have to, you know, like bigger dogs you really need to.
So you're saying a small toy dog doesn't need to be trained?
Yes and no, because they don't really bite and then they're so timid, you know.
But they can be unruly where they run all over the place and you can't control them.
Well, you just have to do your own training.
I'll give you an example, okay? My ex-housemate had a dog that was a cross between a Shih Tzu and a Pomeranian.
Okay.
And the dog bit me every day.
Oh.
Every day. We could not have guests in the house because the dog would attack. And this is a tiny little dog, about this big.
Yeah. I used to have a Pomeranian and she was a bit nippy.
Yeah. What do you think?
Then?
Oh, I think for dogs, okay, it's not a matter of size that matters. Big dogs, small dogs, they do bite if they're not properly trained and the handlers doesn't know how to handle them. Because dogs' behaviors are triggered by things, triggered by movements. So as owner, you must understand what triggers your dogs.
Well, people are calling for mandatory training of dogs. Like the 2 dogs we've got here. Look at this. I mean, they're on a TV
dogs,
bed.
if you can see,
you know,
these 2 dogs are just on the set, and they don't bark, they don't bite, they don't jump. They've been told to stay, so
And
they
they just
stay.
stay. It's
It's
brilliant.
amazing. So do you think mandatory training for dogs is a good idea?
I should say, as a first-time owner, all dogs need to be at least basic trained. If you want to go further into competitive, that's besides the point. But for most owners, if you're a first timer, you may not know how to handle your dogs, how are the dog's behaviors like. You may want to sign up for a course to find out more about it.
Deirdre, who needs more training, the dog or the owner?
Well, I think they need to be trained together. Preferably the owner should be with the dog. And I think what we have to consider is that it's actually a joy, and it builds up the bond between the owner and the animal. I think it's very important, and I think it's very enjoyable, so it shouldn't be something that, oh, I don't have the time to do it, because what you put into your dog, you get out of it.
Right.
You know, and there's nothing nicer to see than a well-behaved dog and the owner taking him out for walks, socializing him. A lot of dogs are not socialized today.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if it's such a joy, why aren't people doing it? Is it just too expensive? Because you guys train. Is it too expensive? Is that what it is?
I don't think so. It's a matter of putting a little bit of effort. The commercial rates are not very competitive nowadays with so many trainers around.
Edmund, what do you think? Is it too expensive?
No, it's not.
Do you think it's a matter...
my first dog, a Schnauzer, was trained. But after a while, when the time goes on, he's back to his old bad habits sometimes.
But isn't that honestly, let's be honest, isn't that because of you? Because you probably spoiled him after you trained him, right?
Yeah.
You see?
Owner's fault.
Owner's fault. But do you think, maybe the owners don't see that it is a joy because they don't want to see their dog?
I think a lot of the problem is impulse buying. They go into the shop and they see the dog in a cage and they think it belongs in there. I mean, a lot of cases the SPCA receives, complaints as dogs being kept in cages or tied up. And, I mean, they see it in the pet shop like that and they think that's normal. And it's very, depressing to see a dog like that because mentally they suffer. They may not suffer physically, but then big dogs, I mean, if they don't exercise enough, they can also have major problems.
Yeah. Now, you brought up something about, impulse buys at pet shops.
Yeah.
So we need to take a little commercial break right now. But when we come back, we're going to talk about irresponsible pet owners who dump their pets. Should these people be penalized? That's what we're going to tackle after the break. We'll see you in a bit. I think they should totally be penalized.
No, but they buy for the wrong reasons.
They
You
should
see,
be
the
shot.
kids nag them, and then they buy them, and then they take them home.